When I got pregnant with twins, I spent a lot of time wondering about what it was actually going to be like when they arrived. So now I've got a bit of experience with having them. I wanted to let you guys know what it's actually like to have twins. So the first thing I think you probably know already if you're pregnant with twins, and that is you won't get any sleep. When you tell people that you're expecting twins, or people know that you're expecting twins, or that you have twins, they'll oftentimes say like, oh, you've got a lot of work on your hands, you're not getting any sleep, are you? Or you're not going to get any sleep, those kind of things. So lack of sleep is definitely something that happens. There have been days where I've been up like 6 times a night. I am breastfeeding though, so I think that it might be slightly different for those of you who choose to or have to bottle feed or formula feed your babies. But I chose to breastfeed, and so I have spent quite a lot of time up in the night with them, feeding and settling them, burping, changing them. So nighttime is almost the same as daytime in the sense that there is no prolonged period of time that you don't have to tend to them for. If my sleep is still at this point quite broken at night, I don't get long stints of sleep. I think the longest I've gotten of sleep is about 4 hours uninterrupted, which actually doesn't sound so bad when you get quite used to having 1 or 2 hours here or there. So I think that twin pregnancy definitely does prepare you for that, because if you are pregnant with twins, then you're probably not getting much comfortable sleep anyway. And if you've had a single term before, then you'll know that sleeping with a newborn is pretty much non-existent, to be fair, until they get to a place where they're sleeping for longer at night, which usually happens when they start getting a bit older. So sleep deprivation is definitely something that I've experienced with having the twins here. I'm always tired, and I think already being a parent to a singleton has definitely kind of gave me a forewarning, so I kind of knew what to expect. So I feel like I've coped okay so far, but trying to find ways to get sleep is something that definitely happens often. I'm always trying to find a time that I can nap so that I can catch up, and that probably leads to the next point, which is that you're going to need help. And some people, maybe you aren't able to get much help, or feel as though they'll be able to cope without the help, and you definitely will do what you have to, of course. But I definitely think if you are able to get some help or some support with taking care of your twins, especially in the newborn stage, like between 0 to 3-4 months, between that time, for us anyway, was a really big adjustment period, and having family around to help us during that time was really helpful. I think if you are able to get somebody to come over to maybe just hold one baby for a moment so that you can maybe settle the other baby, or if one baby's sleeping, if somebody else is holding the other baby, then that kind of frees up your hands so that you can do things around the house, or have a shower, or go and have a nap, or, you know, do things if there's another pair of hands. Whereas if it is just you, then it can feel quite overwhelming, and mixed with sleep deprivation and hormonal changes from giving birth, it can be quite stressful. I was at the park with my older son, and I met a mum with twins, and she was saying that she does the nights alone, which, as I've already mentioned, is basically like it's daytime. So as much as you can get the baby settled and maybe they might sleep for longer stints, you do still have to do the whole feeding as you would with a singleton baby. So you still need to feed them every 2 hours, and there's 2 of them. And if they are on staggered schedules, which is what I prefer, then you're basically feeding a baby every hour, if that makes sense, because they're staggered. Getting help is definitely something that I needed, and I don't know what I would have done really without the help. And that leads to my next point, which is that when you research twins, you'll find lots of lovely pictures. I know Ashley Graham put up a picture of her feeding her babies. Simultaneously, you will find a lot of pictures of mums tandem feeding babies. And when I started thinking about breastfeeding the twins, that was my first thought, like I need to learn how to feed them at the same time. And what I've learned is actually that doesn't work for me. So feeding both babies at the same time means that they want to sleep at the same time and get hungry again at the same time. And if it's just me looking after them, or even if it's me and somebody else, it means that we've got 2 fussy babies at the same time, which means we've got 2 crying babies at the same time, which makes it difficult to manage. Actually, I've only timed them fed like a handful of times. I don't do it very often. If they are very, very upset, then I will just do it to make sure that they're both fed. But what I usually do is stagger their feeds. So I'll feed one baby and then try and put that baby down, and then I'll go to the next baby and try and put that baby down, which means that they become hungry at different times. So I just feed them like I would a single baby. So I just give one baby one boob, finish with that baby, and then give the other baby the other boob, and finish with that baby, and then repeat that cycle. They do get bottle fed. We have supplemented on occasion with formula, and they do get bottles of breast milk. So I do express, so they do get that as well through the bottle. So it would be the same with a bottle. If I'm feeding them a bottle, then I don't feed them bottles at the same time. I feed them separately so that I can manage, especially if I'm by myself. As they get older though, I think that might be less of an issue, because when they're able to hold their own bottle and they're able to, you know, maybe feed themselves, then that takes a bit of pressure off you to have to do it for them. And of course, it's harder to do it for 2 babies at once than it is to do it for 1 baby at a time. So the next thing I didn't expect was that they're not the same. Now this sounds silly, because of course they're not the same, because they're 2 different people. But I feel as though when you first get pregnant with twins, and when you read about twins and you see twins, you just think, oh, that is so cute. It's like having the same person twice. Almost like you automatically think that they're going to be similar because they were born at the same time and they were in the womb together, and maybe there might be slight differences between them, but maybe they'll look alike, or they'll have things about them that are the same, and so they'll kind of be the same. Sameness is something that I noticed just like came up a lot in and around twins. But what I've learned from having twins is that they really are not the same. At least for my twins, they are definitely 2 different humans. And again, that sounds strange, but especially because I have non-identical twins, my twins, they look related, but they don't look like exact copies of each other. They are definitely different in the way that they look. They're different in the way that they behave. Even at this young stage, I can definitely tell the difference in personalities, the difference in the way that they cry, even things down to like the different ways their skin reacts to creams and their different smells. Like, they are definitely 2 different people. I think subconsciously you always know that, but because when you hear twins, you just think 2 of the same. I'm sure that might even be like the definition of twins, like two of the same, or 2 of something similar. Whereas in my experience, I found that they actually don't really have that much in common other than the fact that they were born on the same day and they were both in my belly at the same time. But I love it, and I love to see the differences between them. I think having 2 babies at the same time definitely does highlight that though. So it is something that you tend to notice more because there's 2 at the same time, if that makes sense. So you tend to notice their differences more, that maybe somebody who's not with them all the time might not recognize. The next thing is that nappies go fast. I run through nappies. I can blink and there's a box of nappies gone. They go through them so fast. And when I was pregnant the first time with my oldest son, everybody said, oh, you know, you'll need nappies. But I never really experienced running out of nappies with him or feeling like overwhelmed by how many nappies he was using. But definitely with twins, I feel like they are drinking those nappies. They go through them so quickly. I fill up like the caddy that's on the side of their changing unit every few days. I'm putting more nappies in it because they've gone through what looks like 35 nappies. They go through them so quickly. So if you are pregnant with twins, or you're trying to have twins, or you think you might be having twins, buy nappies. Ask everybody for nappies, because you definitely will go through them so quickly. And the next thing is that you'll get lots of attention for them. So I guess if you don't like attention, or you do like attention, it can be a good or a bad thing, but they definitely draw in a crowd. When they were very young, I used to take them out in a sling and put them both in at the same time, and there'd be like crowds of people waiting around me to come and like stop in and kind of look in. And then when one person stops and another person stops and another person stops, and then you end up having conversations with them all about, yes, they're twins and there's 2 of them and this is how old they are. So people are just really nice about it. It can be a bit maybe overwhelming sometimes if you just want to go out quickly and come back, without being bothered. Loads of stuff actually that I can tell you guys that kind of builds a picture of what it's like to parent twins. I don't know if you guys can hear them crying in the background, so I'm gonna go now. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.